more Scottish Football Extra after a busy midweek of European football. We have got lots to talk about with Chris Sutton and Ali McCoist. And I think, Chris, you'll agree we should start this week by saying a belated happy birthday to Mr. McCoist.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ali. How old are you now?
There's no need to ask that question first thing in the morning, Chris. But I'm not hiding from the fact I do appreciate your best wishes, and I'm 58 years of age as we speak.
So not far off the pension then.
So that's more importantly, I'm 2 years away from a bus pass, I believe.
50, Ali, I'm going strong. But listen, I know the older you get, the more you like to party. I can only assume that you respected the 10 p.m. curfew.
You better believe I did. But having said that, I did do it till 9:59 and a half.
Good.
But
no more nights out with ball and goalie.
Not at all. I had a lovely day, thank you, and I was out for a nice meal with the boys and Viv last night, so thoroughly enjoyed my day. Thanks for asking.
First class, excellent. Stay where you are, because we're going to chat about the football in just a moment after we look back on the week that's been in Scottish football in 60 seconds. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon pushed back the date when fans can return to grounds, and clubs in all 4 leagues of the SPFL now fear death by 1,000 cuts. With the main source of income gone, the water is flooding in. And the SFA and SPFL have asked the Scottish Government for a multi-million pound bailout. In these troubled times, the Europa League offered a slice of comforting normality. There were wins for the old firm and early exits for the infirm. Rangers showed Dutch courage to smash Willem II and set up a Turkish delight against Galatasaray. Celtic overcame a stiff bout of Riga Mortis to deliver a last-minute kiss of death in Latvia. Aberdeen had a sporting chance in Lisbon, but fell just short. And Stephen Robinson failed to make a case for the Motherwell defence as the Steelmen shipped 3 goals in Israel. In Italy, meanwhile, Aaron Hickey was welcomed to Serie A side Bologna by the Loch Ness Monster.
Believe me, I'll do.
A bit of light relief was welcome after a few monstrous days for Scottish football. Well, first things first, guys. Good luck to Aaron Hickey in Italy and at Bologna. It's probably a really good move for him. But Ali, what about that unveiling video?
I mean, if a lad if he's looking for some acting tips, give me a call. I've worked with the best. I mean, that was a poor show, really, wasn't it? That could never have been the first take. That's as poor a side video as I've seen in a long time. I mean, give us a call, Aaron. I've worked with the Val, I've worked with them all.
Let's go to European football, Ali. Mixed results for the Scottish clubs. We'll start on Rangers because they were the biggest winners of the night, 4-0 away in Holland. Did you like that performance? Albeit a little bit shaky at the start, but then they came good.
No, I must admit, I looked at that game. I wouldn't say I was overly concerned, but I think Willem II had been a sort of free scoring for him and had scored a few goals. I thought they would certainly test the defence that wasn't at its best at Easter Road. That said, McGregor makes a great save, and I think looking on from that, Rangers were very, very comfortable. The goals clearly helped them and were at good times. But Kent, I just think watching the game again, I think Kent Rangers are not becoming so reliable in Kent, but he's definitely, without doubt, a key player for them moving forward.
Is it a different Ryan Kent this season, Ali?
I think so, Chris. I really do. I know it's still very early, mate, but I think we're seeing a little bit more consistency from him. I think we're seeing more of him in games rather than just the occasional flashes. I think he does realise his importance now to the team. I think he's quite enjoying the responsibility of being the kind of main man, the main creative player, and I think he's key for Rangers moving forward.
Just looking at social media, Ali, did look like some of the Rangers fans were still a bit concerned about that defence because they had to call on McGregor, who you rightly mentioned there several times in the game. And it was a call to put McGregor back in by the manager. Do you think he now keeps his place over McLaughlin, who's played the league matches?
Of course he has, and done very, very well. And he's been an excellent signing, and it was required. I think Rangers certainly need. Rangers have always had always required two good goalkeepers, and I think they've got that now. You're asking the question, yeah, I think he will. I think McGregor will keep his place now and go on. But I think what McLaughlin has done, he's given Steven Gerrard and Rangers, a real boost, and they'll be very, very safe in the knowledge that if McGregor picks up an injury, then they'll be very, very capable hands at the back. Because
who would you pick, Ali?
I would probably go for McGregor now, Chris. I really would.
Chris, the biggest birthday present that Rangers delivered for Alistair McCoist last night, don't you? No goal for Morelos. He's still number one. 21 of the European goals. You're hanging in there.
Absolutely. I hope he starts battering them in the league, but we're comfortable with 4-0 victories and he doesn't score in Europe. What scenario for me?
If he does it next week in that tie against Galatasaray, I think you'll probably be quite happy.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Don't listen to that Shrek Wayne. It'll be absolutely
nose growing.
What a game that is anyway, next week. Look, let's move on, Chris. I know you're watching Celtic closely. It was a late goal that saw them through. Neil Lennon said after the game it was an excellent performance away from home. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. He couldn't have been more wrong, really. It wasn't an excellent performance at all. I think that they struggled to break Riga down. It wasn't easy. Riga sat deep, made it difficult for Celtic to try and play through. Celtic didn't do enough. Odsonne Edouard looked out of sorts. Whether there are question marks whether he's still carrying an injury or could he be bothered?
What do you think, Chris, on that one?
I think that could he be bothered, Brigade? I'm not sure about it at all.
Did you just say that the Celtic centre forward looked as though he couldn't be bothered in a European tie?
No, I didn't say that. There were people who were casting that aspersion at him, and which is a little bit harsh, I thought. I think that he's not up to speed yet, as a lot of Celtic players aren't.
Thanks for clarifying that.
It is a big talking point though, Chris. And beyond Edouard, the formation that players picked to start the game, do you think the system suited? Because the subs came on and made a massive impact. Elyounoussi with the winning goal, and Frimpong, I think, of all the Celtic players getting praise online and social media, he's the name that's standing out.
Look, I mean, it's a situation. It's an odd situation Celtic are in. They've won 5 games on the spin, but you have to say things aren't right this season. The system which they're playing, I don't particularly like the fact that they play the 3 at the back, and they're not playing with 2 recognised strikers. They're playing Christie in and off, and I'm not so sure that is the right thing to do. I'd rather see Edouard and Ajeti play up together. The other thing, continuity is so important. Week in and week out, Celtic or Neil Lennon is chopping and changing. And Celtic really haven't hit any great rhythm this season. That would be a concern. Having said all that, if I was in the Celtic dressing room and we're grinding out wins in an ugly fashion, it's a sort of good sign. Eventually, Celtic need to hit their straps. I think the acid test will come. Big game next week against Sarajevo. Tough game at the weekend against Hibs, because Hibs, do have the possibility of exploiting Celtic, because Hibs are a confident team at the moment, as we saw against Rangers. But the acid test is Rangers. If Neil Lennon goes into that game and Celtic lose the game and have a poor performance, then I expect that he will be taking a heavy panning. Celtic need to hit the straps.
Okay, we'll come back to the weekend games shortly. Ali, I want to ask you about Aberdeen as well. A tough assignment in Lisbon against Sporting, albeit Sporting were without several players, COVID related, as you're aware. So, do you look at it as a missed chance or a really solid away performance from Aberdeen that shows that they are progressing?
And to be honest, I thought Aberdeen might have got something out of that, particular game. And I know they played. I didn't see it, but I know they played well and looked comfortable in possession for a long periods of the game. I think they're looking really solid in the middle of the park. McCrory, Ferguson. And they played three at the back. McKenna's obviously missed McKenna, but at the same time,
Johnny Hayes was standing out again as well. Ali Hayes was brilliant in the game at times. Having just discussed Celtic, I mean, it looks as if that's the kind of player they're lacking right now.
I've asked Chris, and I think Chris agrees with me. I think maybe Celtic let Hayes go just a little hastily, perhaps a little quickly, because
I think you agree with me.
That would definitely be. That was an apology. I think looking at him, he's certainly playing very, very well, and I'm surprised, that Celtic didn't keep a hold of him, because particularly in that left side, he never let Celtic down, whether it was left back or further forward. But no, Aberdeen probably leaning towards more an opportunity missed, guys. But again, you look at the result on paper, and it's not a bad result. But I think they'll certainly get even stronger when the big boys come back up front.
As for Motherwell, Chris, look, it all was going to be tough for them in Israel. It looked tough on paper. Hapoel Beersheva away at 1-0 down. They were in the tie, but when they conceded that penalty and Gallagher saw red, it was a long way back, wasn't it?
I disagree with you're sort of suggesting Motherwell would go there with a negative mindset there. I don't see that after they'd beaten Aberdeen away from home 3-0, good result, went there with confidence. Well, you were suggesting that, going to Israel would be tough. Why? Motherwell are in good form going there. Beersheva aren't world beaters. It's not like they're playing Bayern Munich or anybody. They would have gone there maybe with a bit of confidence. When the goal down, Gallagher sent off, and that was game over then, wasn't it?
I want to get back to something domestic. In fact, a massive domestic issue. As you know, fans are not going to be in stadiums in the October dates that were set out. The test events had started. They've been paused and stopped, and in the foreseeable now, I don't think we're going to get fans back at elite football level, Chris, and the knock-on effect is staggering.
It doesn't make sense, in my view, the fact that you can go and sit on an aeroplane next to somebody, the fact that you can go into an inside environment in a restaurant and sit and have a meal, yet we're told that, we can't go and socially distance outside where we're told that there's a less risk of catching COVID inside a stadium which has safety measures. I don't understand that. And what's going to happen, I don't know whether Ali agrees or not, it's going to be the death knell for certain clubs.
Unless there's a reason for it which we're missing, and there can't be, or it would be explained to us, it's the double standards that we can't understand and can't accept. But more importantly, I think it's going to put, as we've said for a long, long time, it has been a big, big fear. Sadly, I think it's going to come to fruition. I think a lot of our clubs are going to go into trial and might go to the wall.
Just a final quick one, because we should weigh that out by saying, look, the coronavirus numbers are rising again, and those numbers clearly are unacceptable to the government and need to be stemmed somehow. But Ali, just getting back to the level of football and the required funding that these clubs need to go on now, if there's no government bailout, it does look like, do you think they're going to get a bailout?
Well, clearly, selfishly, football being my sport, I hope that's the case. But there'll be other people needing bailout as well. We shouldn't just be sitting here thinking, football's the be all and end all. There's the arts, everybody else will be looking for financial bailouts from the government. And I hope that they can come up with something. But I also hope that we can help each other. Particularly in England, I'm looking at the situation in England. And we had a lad on last week speaking to him, and it's difficult to argue with him, why we should expect the taxpayer, the government to bail the football clubs out when some of the big, and I'm not talking about Scotland clearly, but talking about down south, some of the guys are on phenomenal money.
Ali, I don't think there's any need to bring Chris's wages into this. Right, boys, stay where you are. We're going to take a quick breather. We're back after this break. It's part two of Scottish Football Extra. More from Chris Sutton and Ali McCoist in just a moment. But first, we're going to check in with Michael Stewart and Rory Hamilton, who look ahead to the games coming this weekend. In fact, they've been out for a run, on the move again, this time up the Wangy.
Hi Michael, how are you doing?
Good, Rory, how are you?
It's getting cold, isn't it?
The temperature's dropped, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I think we'll need to get the heart rate going. Fancy a run?
Yes, let's get going.
Nice one, you're all geared up, let's go. I don't mind the gate.
It's a whole defence for you, Rory.
It's going to be that way, is it? Yep. Oh, there you are.
Get yourself seated. Where have you been? Taking you a while.
Didn't realise we were doing rock climbing as well, mate.
Well, multitasking, Rory.
Well, look, we've got 4 teams in Europe this week. 2 of them go head-to-head on Sunday. Motherwell and Rangers.
Yeah, well, obviously, two wins for Motherwell back-to-back, so they'll be going in with a bit of confidence, and Rangers, they'll be disappointed that they've dropped points against Hibs, but it's a great opportunity for them to try to make sure that they can maintain that position at the top of the table.
Hibs have shown they can mix it against Rangers. Can they go to Celtic Park and get in?
I think, away from home it'll be a different story for Hibs. Granted, obviously the fans are not there, so that could help a little bit. But Neil Lennon's spoken about the fact no fans is definitely having a detrimental effect on Celtic. But I would imagine that it's still going to be a very tough task for Hibs to go to Celtic Park.
How about Aberdeen life without Scott McKenna heading to Dingwall?
A few more pounds in the bank for Aberdeen, but they're missing Scott McKenna, and it's been a good run for them. Obviously a huge poor performance and result against Motherwell last weekend. Ross County's not going to be any easier, but it's one that they're going to have to look to pick up 3 points to try to make sure they can maintain that pressure on the sides above them.
Right, shall we hit the summit?
Let's go.
Do you know the way?
No, I'll follow you. Lead on, lead on.
See it now? Not that way. Oh, not that way. He's found a shortcut.
God's putting a shift in here, Rory, I tell you.
Just wait. Oh, you've done me there.
You get yourself a bit dirtier, Rory.
Oh, still got it, Michael. Good job. Right, Dundee United against Hamilton. On you go.
Well, never easy to go to Hamilton. A lot of teams complain about the plastic part, but Hamilton's sitting second bottom. Dundee United have got themselves in the top 6 now. I think Dundee United have fancied themselves.
What about Livingston St Johnstone?
Well, Livingston rooted to the bottom of the table still. Not great season so far for them. St Johnstone, they've lost a number of games by the odd goal. It's not going to be easy. I would think that perhaps a draw in that one.
And St Mirren Kilmarnock last up?
Well, we talk about teams not doing particularly well. 1 point out of 15 for St Mirren. This is a must-win for Jim Goodwin to get his side back on track.
Right, you've won one race, you back to the car park.
Right, let's go.
Left. Oh, he might be quick. He doesn't know the way. See you, Michael.
And if anyone's seen Michael, please don't get in touch. He loves his own company. And Ali, that tickled you, didn't it? Those two up the wangy together.
Oh, that really tickled me, because I tell you right now, I think it was my 43rd birthday the last time I was up the wangy. I'll tell you, it's a while ago.
I didn't expect that. Right, let's talk about the games. For goodness sakes, Chris, let's talk about the games. Motherwell v Rangers is a standout fixture this weekend. Could be another tough game on the road for Steven Gerrard.
Yes, I mean, it's an interesting one, because I think, at this moment there's this feeling I'm getting in Scottish football where everybody is feeling that everything is plain sailing at Ibrox, and there's a bit of doom and gloom across the city at Celtic Park. Yet Rangers drop points against Hibs. If Celtic win the game in hand, then they would go top of the table. So it's a really important game, I think, after a really good win in Europe this week for Rangers, to go and get 3 points however they do it. It's not one of those games where it's about performance, it's about going there. Motherwell, probably a point to prove after getting knocked out in Israel, tough game as it was. But we'll want to back up their win against Aberdeen with 3 points as well. So tough game for Steven Gerrard.
Ali, on a season like this, of all seasons, the Rangers just can't afford, when they get their noses ahead in stadiums like Easter Road, for part perhaps they can then afford to slip up. Were you disappointed with the way they finished their last match domestically?
I was, Darryl. I was pretty disappointed. Had chances to kill the game off. Kent's got a chance, Arfield a couple of chances to go and win the game. But dare I say it, boys, watching Rangers actually thought there was a softness about them. And by softness, I don't necessarily mean, an attacker or anything. I just mean an aggression within a team to go and win a game and finish the job. And I think it's been there this season with Rangers, and they've got away with it. They're the games, as Chris say, the level of performance is secondary to the result, and you've got to win those games.
Hibs will be buoyed by the way they played against Rangers. Would you agree on that one, Chris?
Yes, I would agree. They've been good all season. In some ways, honestly, I wasn't sure how Hibs would do this season. I didn't think they'd have such a good start as they have had. I think they've got some really good attacking players, and they're playing without fear, which is always a good thing. Celtic coming back from the trip in Latvia. Hibs will be hoping to catch them cold. I still think defensively, Celtic are giving up too many chances for Neil Lennon's liking. And Celtic have, a point to prove. They still need to hit their straps. They haven't done it so far this season, and there's a lot of players playing below par. But having said all that, they're finding a way to win. So, in many respects, if Celtic do hit the form which they're capable of, then, Rangers should be worried. But Celtic are nowhere near the level yet.
Right, just a few other games just to touch on briefly because we don't have long left in the programme and you two still got a quiz to do. Aberdeen against Ross County. Chris, no Scott McKenna for Aberdeen anymore, away to Nottingham Forest. Does it look as if, I think Derek McKinnon said this himself, they undersold, but did it also feel to you like it was the right time for him to move on?
Not if I'm an Aberdeen fan, not if I'm Derek McInnes was at the right time for him to move on. We saw how he was missed last weekend against Motherwell. As simple as that. I think Aberdeen are losing a really good player, and it'll be very, very difficult to replace. The money seems exceptionally cheap. Was it, a season or two ago, we're talking about 7 million or something in that region. So, Aberdeen would have liked to have got more money, but we're in these trying times at this moment in time. But a big loss for Aberdeen. I think everybody wishes Scott well. He's been a fantastic servant to Aberdeen. Grew up there, came up through the ranks, and that's what Aberdeen and other Scottish clubs, they have to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely right. Hamilton against Dundee United, Ali. Last time out we were talking about Dundee United and you said, I think we all said, in fact, Shankland back in, could he make the difference? Well, what a difference he made last time out. What a goal that was.
I tell you, the finish last week against St Mirren, over his shoulder into the corner, Darryl. But that's, and something, one of the few, in my opinion, he's one of the few forwards in the league capable of that type of goal. It gives you something different. Any team, and I include Rangers and Celtic in that, would like to have Lon Shankland in their ranks, because I was really well impressed with that goal.
Right, the pen's in my hand, the clipboard's out, because it is quiz time. And it's 4-3 to Ali McCoist as it stands. And Ali, cause it is your birthday this week, but we're basically giving you an open goal here. And Chris, don't you worry before you start complaining. On your birthday week, we'll do the same, something similar for you. Now, this was the producer who picked this quiz, just to make that clear, in case you don't like it. And if you like it, it was me that picked it. The question this week is: can you name any team at all that Ali McCoy scored against for Rangers?
Hang on a minute. Whoa. So we're doing.
Chris,
if your knowledge of Scottish football is any good, you should be okay here.
I've got to take the kids to school on Monday.
Right, wow. Chris, I think it's only fair that you go first, Chris.
Celtic.
Darryl, tell me you're not checking that.
Ali, I'm only taking it off, so I remember who said what. That's the only reason I'm doing it.
Hearts. See what you're doing there? Clever. St Johnstone. You have scored against them, haven't you? I'm thinking of the grounds where we stood next to each other, and you keep telling your stories.
Sam?
Did you get 30 against Dundee?
Yeah.
Leeds United.
Okay, you're taking me down a different track now. Red Star Belgrade.
That's very good. I'm going to take us back to Scotland here, Daryl, if that's okay with you. Queen of the South.
Good call, fella. That was my first one. Well done. Arbroath.
Who's not scored against Arbroath? East Fife.
Darryl.
One against East Fife. One against East Fife.
He's got away with one there. Dunfermline.
Yep, just a 22 against them.
Do you know what? In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Berwick Rangers.
No.
Thank God for that.
There's no Belgrade. There's no Belgrade.
Thank God for that. That would have been the whole of part 2.
With teams like Steaua Bucharest, all the top teams, and he throws in Berwick Rangers.
Who was the best one against, in your mind? Best goal?
Oh, probably one of the 27 against Celtic, maybe. although to be fair, Such, it was actually 29 because I count my 2 for St Johnstone against them as well.
We thought it was a bit of an open goal. It is 5-3 to Ali. Chris, don't worry, your birthday week will make it up to you. Ali, you better start studying right now. Gentlemen, thank you very much.